All right, so tonight we're going to talk about the Mid-America Hypnosis Conference and some other topics that just flow with me and Randy. Randy just asked me how was the conference, and I really enjoyed this 3-day conference. I got to meet a bunch of people, a lot of my peers, some of the famous people in the hypnosis world, some people that have been in the hypnosis industry for a long time, some that are quite new. And there were a lot of presentations that happened at this conference. We had 4 different rooms with presentation and a room with vendors, and it was so well organized, and you could see which speaker was speaking at which room and what topics they were, so you could choose which room to go. Usually the presentation were about an hour or an hour and a half, and there were some interesting presentation and interesting presentation on hypnosis and what's their method and what's their learning and what they want to share. But there were a serious amount of presentation on marketing and funnels and running the business online. So, I forget who said that. Richard Nanger might be just the one who said that we also need to approach this as business owners, not just being people that in the business of helping people, but also running a business, and that gets cumbersome because a lot of people don't understand hypnosis, and hypnosis is so about personal growth and about beliefs and about having us help the client to realizations of what can they adapt, what can they understand, what resources they have to make the changes they need. And a lot of people deal with not necessarily lack, but with low level of confidence. And especially with the pandemic, anxiety, it's to the roof. And I'm fine with confidence. So I don't know if there was ever a time when I wasn't confident in who I was and my abilities, but confidence seems to be a major theme with clients and some of the people that presented at the conference too. And running a business, being an ownership, it's not easy by all means. That's not something easy to do, and it's a lot of hard work and working on weekends like this, and some of the presenters were just so tired. And I remember going to a presenter, I think that was on Friday night, and you could tell that she was tired and she was exhausted. And I just went there and gave her a hug, and I said, rest for 30 seconds. And you could just feel the weight of her body just resting as we hugged. And because you go to dinner and you come back 8:00. So these were really start 9:00 and then you end up at 9-10 o'clock at night. So, but one of the things that was really interesting at this conference was the stage hypnosis. And I was always skeptical about the stage hypnosis, and I knew that the people that go to be hypnotized on stage are not very deeply hypnotized. I knew that they want to be there on stage and then having fun. So this was confirmed. But I have to tell you, it was a lot of fun. I laughed so hard because we had a show on Friday. I laughed so hard, my cheeks hurt. And I took some photos of that, but I'm not allowed to show those photos in the photos from the show. And one of the participants on a stage hypnosis at some point decided she doesn't want to participate. So she got up and went to sit in her chair in the audience. And I go, I knew this. I knew this. Well, of course I knew this, but it's a lot of fun. And things happen. I mean, you get in a trance, but it's a very light trance. And the whole show was a comedy show, like a comedy hypnosis. And people had fun. There were a lot of people who were on stage, they were volunteered, and people had fun. But people in the audience had more fun. So it was that was neat. But one of the things that was not present, well, not that I encountered, was people stating that their training is Ericksonian hypnosis. And I was like, well, I knew I'm special, at least in the Chicagoland. I mean, you hear people mentioning Erickson very little, but they talk about other people so much more that I was like, why did you talk about Erickson? Because I'm an Ericksonian, right? And there's so many different kinds of hypnosis and way to go about hypnosis, and it's all about personal growth, and it's all about the client realizing where they're at and where they need to go, and what somebody that comes to hypnotherapy, they kind of know what they want because we don't diagnose them. So this is the wonderful aspect of working with clients in hypnosis, and there's a lot of coaching, a lot of personal development. Rarely does a hypnotherapy session goes without coaching and without personal development. Unlike psychotherapy is geared to a diagnosis, it's geared to a disease, it's geared to a problem. As opposed to hypnotherapy is geared to human potential. How can you be the best that you can be, and how soon can you get there? So that's wonderful, to know that. But I knew this before the conference. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed that, and it was so sweet to meet with Larry Garrett. I've met Larry at least 20 some years ago, and Larry Garrett he's one of the oldest hypnotherapists in Chicago that is well known in Chicago. I call him Chicago's hypnosis royalty. And it was just such a pleasant to interact with him, and such a wonderful, wonderful, warm soul, a kind soul. And at some point, every time I saw him, I would hug him. Yeah. And that's something that you don't see this in any profession. But in the hypnotherapy, there's a lot of people that have done spirituality, right? There's so much healing that happens with hypnosis, and that is that heart-to-heart connection. And not everybody's like that, and they don't have to be, but some are just huggers. You just go and hug over there for like 30 good seconds. I mean, that's a good hug, 30 seconds. So every time I would see Larry Garrett, I went and hugged him. And at some point, he gave me his book and he signed it. And he said one of the most wonderful things. He said, "I love the way you love me." I loved it how he said it. And then he said, "I wish you lots of love and well-being in life." And shortly after that, I went to his presentation, and he didn't have like an agenda with other people. He just started talking and a little bit of his story, but every now and then he would throw a gem and, took the notes and wrote his gem. The food was very good at the restaurant. I just had salad. For me, salad was good. But meeting other people and making friends, and I made friends with this wonderful human from Woodstock, and we kind of got attached and spent most of the time together. And meeting other people and having their perspective on how they run the business. But then people talked about how much they charge per hour. $600. $600 to $5,000 for 2 hours. Whoa, I need to raise my rates. I need to raise my rates. It's not like $600 for a session, because a session can easily spill over an hour. But yeah. So I'm definitely going to raise my rates. I'm going to send an email to everybody that book a session before the rates go up, because other people are charging even $2,000 for 2 hours. It's ridiculous. But some people, one of the presenter gained a lot of popularity and a lot of followers on social media, and some who became very popular. He's also a stage hypnotist. So you see the thing with stage hypnosis, which, okay, for me it's fun, right? But the thing with stage hypnosis, how many years ago, this is how people used to become famous, used to be known through stage hypnosis, which is pretty much entertainment. Yeah, stage hypnosis is entertainment. It's not therapeutic. I mean, it's therapeutic in the sense that, the audience laughs and, has a good time, and any laughter, it's good therapy. So yeah, this person got really, he had a lot of followers, and he's charging a ton of money. Like, maybe I can do that too. But no, that's not my purpose in life. I'm more oriented to getting results with a client. But it was definitely good to see this presentation. Some of the presenters had a little demonstration of their practice and how they would go about it, and I got some good metaphors. Some I knew and I was reminded of it, and some was new, and I liked it. I mean, we have to use metaphors. I mean, metaphors, it's the bread and butter of the hypnosis, because you otherwise you're just going to need an hour to talk about what a metaphor would present conceptually. But then at some point, one of the vendors had 6 volumes of Ericksonian's work in hardcover, looking very, very expensive books. And of course they were expensive. And then I just opened the book, and I went to one of the Erickson scripts, and I quickly read through it, because I wasn't going to stay there and read the whole book. And just typical to Erickson, he begins his hypnosis with, having people their arm up, like just the way we saw it. We've seen it in the videos. And he asked the client, like, what are you? And then, what is the chair? And then, all kinds of what are you? And then he goes back, like, what are you? And at that point, the client is confused. Well, I already answered. What do you mean what I am? So, but there is a good point with that, because where we are, it's where our attention is. So I started smiling as I was reading, just, a typical case of Erickson. And I entered in conversation with the gentleman that had that table, and he said that a lot of people don't get Erickson, don't understand why Erickson approached his clients the way he approached and the language he used, and I said, for me, it's easy. For me, it's easy to understand why he said the things he said. And some of them I find it funny, and especially Erickson's confusion, which is so light. I mean, what are you? And then again, what are you? Because my sense of humor, it's kind of the same way. So I really had that before knowing and meeting Erickson. And then we started talking about conceptual learning and linear learning. And boy, did we have a wonderful, wonderful conversation. And people being bilingual and how bilingual people learn different than native people, and all kinds of interaction like that. Next year, you have to make sure that you're gonna make it here, because it was nice. It was just nice to be together with peers and have a good time. And next year, I'm going to present. I have like 14 set up to present. I don't know how much I'm going to present, but I already have like 4 things set up to present that I noticed that no one that presented or I knew of in the list of presentation had that which I have to present. So it will be enlightening to a bunch of people to present some of my secrets. So next year you're gonna have to make sure that you're gonna join us.
Yeah, it sounds like it was terrific. I haven't been to one of those conferences in a long time, but that sounded like it looked like it was going to be good, and it had a lot of stuff that it was looked really interesting. I was surprised a little that they had stage hypnosis there. So yeah, I thought that was interesting, because it's kind of controversial, and some people very, very much against it, and think it's does bad for hypnosis in general. That it's a bad
comedy.
thing.
I have to mention that it was comedy stage hypnosis.
Right.
It wasn't therapeutic. So it was just we had fun, and I laughed so hard my cheeks hurt. Go on.
It's hard to say, and it's hard to say that that's not good. When it's so entertaining, it's hard to say, well, it's a bad thing. So I've never been to I had a friend of mine, not a colleague, but kind of an acquaintance. He was a kind of an amateur hypnotist, and he did a lot of stage hypnosis. And he did it here in my city, Baton Rouge, and it's just a different type of thing. I think it can give people the wrong idea about what a hypnotist can do, but you said it right. I mean, you said it. People go on stage, they want to be on stage, and they want to participate, and they want to have fun. And so, they're doing what they want to do. They're not being made to do anything they don't want to do. They want to do it. They want to be on stage. They want to have fun. They want to enjoy themselves. And that's what happens.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of trends over there, but it's all comedy. And because hypnosis, this is where we started. Humanity started with hypnosis back, during the Greeks with the sleep altar, and then when the Egyptians with their sleep temples. So it's not something new. I mean, psychotherapy evolved from hypnotherapy. But somehow throughout the year, it started to get more. It was more entertainment based, and then people continue to believe that hypnosis has to do with entertainment, which is that's not the case. Hypnosis is not entertainment. I mean, we already know that, but. Yeah, it was definitely fun. It was definitely fun.
I would venture to say that we may look back on these years as kind of the golden years of hypnosis, because it's really, especially since the pandemic, there's been a lot of online training now. Before then, people would have to go and like with Milton Erickson style, you'd have to go out to his institute in Phoenix, Arizona, and stay for a month or 6 weeks and learn every day. And not many people could do that. They couldn't afford it. it would be in the thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of learning. And it was just really hard for a lot of people. Now that since the pandemic, everything's gone online. The Ericksonian Institute kind of made an online presence, and a lot of other people, and so it's becoming a very, very uh, well, I don't know. I mean, I just think I don't know if it's becoming a well known, but it certainly is becoming more established. And I read things in I think I mentioned it last week about the irritable bowel syndrome uh, thing that came through. You read just on the internet, just kind of browsing through, and there'll be something that'll pop up. This was on NPR about how hypnosis was this secret sauce that was discovered by this client or patient, and it gave them a really good fix to their problems, really healed them. So I think it's exciting to be in this. EMDR is part of hypnosis, and that's a big thing. So Richard Nongard, who put that conference together that you went to,
Yes.
Carmen, he wrote a book called 101 Proofs That Hypnosis Works, and it's a book of 101 studies that prove that hypnosis is effective. And so it's exciting to see. That is profoundly interesting that there are some people charging thousands of dollars an hour. I came across somebody in my journey who's a well-known hypnotist. I won't mention the name here, but very well known, very popular, very big in the media. She charges between $5,000 and $10,000 a session, and she has several clients. This is not a secret. She has several clients who have her on sort of a retainer, and they pay her upwards of $1 million a year to keep her on retainer and to be available when needed. And
we need to start doing that.
I mean, is that good or bad? I don't know. I think it's a sign. I mean, these are people that would not just give somebody $1 million just to. It shows how effective hypnosis can be. I don't know any therapist who's ever been on a retainer.
That's true. I mean, we have attorneys on retainer, but a lot of executives are dealing with a lot of stress. And stress is not easy to manage, especially nowadays. And to have someone help you navigate all that, I mean, there's a lot of executives, they have to make heavy decisions, decisions that impact the lives of hundreds of thousands of people. And that's not something easy to carry on your shoulder, right? But hypnosis, it's not just being put to sleep. Hypnosis, it's a coaching in a means. It awakens you to the human potential. Psychotherapy works with clinical psychotherapy works with the disease and addresses what's negative, and it keeps you in negative. I mean, how many clients do I have that they came over from a psychotherapy and other hypnotherapists? The conference said the same thing, which psychotherapy, it's good for what it does. A lot of people need to have that address and need to have a diagnosis. But with hypnosis, we get to the root of your problems. And sometimes people quit smoking in just one session. So, but these people that quit smoking in one session, they really want to quit. So, a lot of other hypnotherapists talked about having their spouse sending them for a session, and they would go, "No, I don't think so." Or the child or a family member sending someone else for a session, whether it was smoking or whether something else. Or someone would come in and say, like, "Why do you want to quit smoking?" "Well, my wife is nagging me." that's not gonna work in a session. Who knows if it's gonna work if you don't want to quit. So the wonderful thing with hypnosis is that people know what they want. They want something they don't have. They want something better. They want to improve, they want to enhance their human potential. And this is what hypnosis helps with: human potential. How good do you want to be at what you're doing? How low of an anxiety do you want to have? How fewer depressive states do you want to have? How lesser degree of stress do you want to go through? Because stress is not going anyway. There's anxiety all over, especially what the planet is going through. But managing all that and arriving to a state of ease, this is what we're all looking for.
You know, what's interesting is I don't know, I never knew how much Milton Erickson charged. And just for anybody who doesn't know who he is, I mean, there's really two schools of hypnosis, two giant umbrellas. And one is the Milton Erickson umbrella, and one is the Dave Ellman umbrella. And they're just different styles of hypnosis. The conference you went to was more on the Dave Ellman side,
Yes.
which is the traditional, typical hypnosis that most people are familiar with through the media, where the person, the hypnotist says, you know, close your eyes, relax, put it, you know, do a progressive muscle relaxation. You're going to be doing this. Now you're going to do this. I want you to do this. You're going to do this. That's the Dave Ellman. Dave Ellman was a radio broadcaster in the 40s, and he went into hypnosis, and he was apparently brilliant at it, and was very well known for rapid induction. He could put somebody to sleep, put them in a trance within 2 minutes or less. And he worked with doctors. Milton Erickson, on the other hand, was a very different style in his older years, very indirect, like you said, Carmen, very metaphoric, a lot of confusion. He would ask people, you know, he would take 30, 45 minutes to do the induction. And he was well known for doing bizarre, weird, interesting, and brilliant kind of things. So
yes, but Milton Erickson was more therapy oriented. He wasn't, directive, you know, you do this. Milton Erickson took time to allow clients to find ways that are good for them for therapeutic purposes, and which didn't always include clients going into a deep trance. You know, oftentimes it was just conversation. Yeah.
And it's just been what I find interesting. Erickson, I think Dave Ellman's too, but Erickson's home is now Milton Erickson Institute's home, his old house, and he had his office in his house, and he was infamous and famous for letting his children and family, they all interacted with his clients. His clients would come over for dinner. There was no boundary. He was well known for that. And what was interesting in our talk of fees, Milton Erickson had known Dave Ellman and was very offended that Dave Ellman in the 40s and early 50s was charging $200-$300 a session. That deeply offended Milton Erickson. He would charge about 50 or 75. And here Milton Erickson is this genius. And I guess Dave Ellman was too. But it was just interesting that there are a lot of people now becoming millionaires with in hypnosis. And Milton Erickson he lived a very, just a very middle-class life, and very, very interesting.
Well, Erickson was a psychiatrist, so his hypnosis was targeted was very therapeutic, and he found that one approach doesn't work with everybody. So he took time, like I take time to learn the client style and understand where they're at and why and how, things that happen. And we don't go into a lot of details, but still I need to understand the background so I know what approach to take. And even with the same client, I don't take the same approach every single time. Yeah, it would be nice if I would make $600 an hour. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I would have a lot of free time, but no, it's just some people want to do that. It's just, I guess it's different styles. Some other therapist over there said when this famous person presented and he was charging $5,000 for 2 hours, my jaw was dropped, and other people were so like, that's a lot of. But if people are paying him for that, then that's who's to say what. But to still have people nowadays think that hypnosis is something other than it is. It's their loss. So I mean, people are free to believe whatever they want to believe, and it's definitely their loss. And what I noticed with every presentation that was there were tips and tricks and exercises that you do, and some physical kinesthetic exercises that which I always employ some kinesthetic aspect into my sessions with clients, and there were interesting and sub tricks attached to it. It was fun nonetheless, but I was also very proud that I represented Ericksonian hypnotherapy, because I was trained a little bit in the other, but mostly Ericksonian hypnotherapy. It's my hypnosis training, in addition to the spiritual aspect of the spiritual and healing aspect of the hypnosis.
It's just very different, interesting. There's a movie, on YouTube, and I'm trying to remember the name of it, and I cannot remember it. But it's easily found. It's directed by. Now I'm going to block everything out.
It's okay. Tip of the tongue. It's okay. Tip of the tongue. It'll come to you. So that's a movie. The name will come to you.
It's John Huston directed it.
Okay.
And if somebody just Google John Huston hypnosis World War II, the movie will show up. It was banned for 20 years because it showed World War II soldiers coming back shell shock, what they call shell shock then, but it's called PT now, of course. But back then it was shell shock, and they were undergoing hypnosis treatment to get through it. And it's very interesting. This is at the end of the war. This is late 40s. And these are doctors doing hypnosis on these soldiers. And it's in the Army. And there wasn't any kind of Milton Erickson stuff. There wasn't any kind of mirroring, reflective listening. There was none of that. These guys, and they were in the Army, so they're used to taking orders. So it was so interesting to watch it, how these hypnotists just said, okay, now you will close your eyes. You're going to do this. You're going to do this. Then you're going to do this. This is what's happened. Then you're going to be over it. And then you're going to be through with this. And then you're going to be back. And, it worked. They were doing very well, but it was a whole different style. And I think part of that's because they were in the Army, used to taking orders.
Yes.
So that kind of responded, but it was also kind of the style of hypnosis that was back in those days too. This very author. It was called paternalistic. It was very parental, and this is what. Yeah, you're going to do this, and this is what you do. You'll close your eyes, and you'll do this, and you'll close your eyes, and you'll do this, and then you'll do this. Now raise your arm. Now your arm. The ones I've seen from me is now your arm is a rod. It's a rod. It can't bend. Try and bend it. It's a rod. Blah 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 blah. And I'm like you, Carmen. I could never do that style of hypnosis. I just couldn't. It's just not me.
Yeah, but it
is effective.
Yes, it makes sense to be used with soldiers because you're right. Soldiers are used to taking directives, and everything they've done, especially being to war, it was a directive taken by someone. And then to have them work on their PTSD, yeah, they would definitely and take a directive that would help their health, because hypnosis works with suggestive healing suggestions, right? So I would understand why that works so well with the soldiers. And there are some people that no way. It's just like, I'm not gonna have that style. I mean, it's like, oh yeah, okay, thank you, bye. There will be me, but there will be other people that it might work with that. And what happens with trauma, with post-traumatic syndrome, is that the impact over the person's physical body was so strong, and it registers in the amygdala, and then they get triggered by the littlest simple things. And sometimes, just like with this soldiers, this approach might work. So it's worth giving it a try and see if it brought benefits, and if not, change the approach next time. Yeah, definitely.
One of my favorite Ericksonian stories. Ericksonian is also, and this is, I don't mean to get off on it, but I mean, I'm just getting off my tangent, but it's such a fun story. He was well known for, quote unquote, starting where the client was, where the patient was. That has some ups and downs to it to me. But anyway, there's a story, one of his cases, so much fun to read this stuff. One of his cases had a country farmer, if I remember right, and his wife, and they were having intimacy issues. And Erickson tried to talk to them as a doctor about it. They were just so embarrassed and so embarrassed, and they just couldn't do it, especially the man. He just couldn't do it. So the nice thing about this approach, he decided, instead of saying, well, look, if you want my help, you don't have to talk about it. Start talking. Instead of doing that, he started talking about other stuff and going off on a tangent on something else. And eventually he got to people's eating habits and how people like to eat different ways and different styles of food. And there's such a wonderful choices of food we have in life. There's so many choices, and people have different styles of eating. It depends on how they were raised. A lot of people are just strictly meat and potato people. They want the entree, they want to dig in, they want to eat it, and then they're through. They're through with their dinner. It's give me the dinner, let me eat, I'm finished. Other people enjoy it to be spread out. They like to have an hors d'oeuvre. They like to enjoy maybe a bit of coffee or something before, or a liqueur or something before the meal. They like to talk and they like to visit, and eventually they get to the main meal. But it's and then when they're through eating, they like to sit back and enjoy, have a cup of coffee. Back then they would smoke, enjoy the after meal, have a dessert. There were different styles, and so his instruction to this couple was, 1 week they would eat meals this way, and the next week they eat meals that way. Because what he was talking about was, the way he defined it was, he was saying, I talked to them about how they got their needs met, and their physical needs were, like you said, Carmen, metaphorically, were their sexual needs. So that the man was this, I'm gonna get in bed, have sex, I'm through. And with the woman, it was, well, let's go slow. Let's take it easy. Let's enjoy the moment. Let's enjoy this journey. So it's just a fascinating way of helping them by not, and he did help them by not discussing directly what was wrong with them. So that kind of stuff is that's the kind of stuff that's fun for us as professionals to read about, because it's so creative,
Yes, yes, it is very creative, and you're right. One, it's the using the dinner aspects, like one day you eat this, and then having a little bit of diversity that would have both of them try their way a little different. So, because in a relationship, you have to bring balance, and if there is no balance and reciprocity in a relationship, that the relationship is not going to survive. And most couples that go for couple therapy, they would like to achieve balance. But then when we get to couples, there's a lot of it is about communication. And the partners, significant others, do they communicate their needs? Do they communicate their wants? Because mostly what happens is like they just say what they don't like. That is like, oh, this shouldn't happen, and then accuse the other of hurting them, as opposed to, but see, a lot of people don't know what they want, and they're not aware of their needs. They're just aware of what upsets them. And then you sit with them and you ask them, well, how would you like it different? They go, I don't know, I just want to be happy. Okay, but what makes you happy? I don't know. As opposed to food, they will know what food to eat, right? So it adds to people's stress, and it adds to the relationship tension. And in the end, know thyself. It's our purpose here. Well, a lot of people, they have different definitions and different ideas for why are we here on planet Earth. But it's very important to know yourself, know your needs, know your wants, know how you go about it, and what your processes are. And this is where hypnosis and coaching, especially what I do, is I help people with their processes. And a lot of the processes are subconscious, and then you learn. And once you learn, it's like, oh, that's why I think that, and I don't like that because I have a subconscious world. It's like, yeah. And just to be aware of that little fact, and to be able to look at it, it's like, well, I don't need to behave like, I don't need to think that, I don't need to feel this way. And then boom, you make a change. And that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah, one of the things I think that I know my mentor Jay Haley was very big on was changing behavior, and I think he got that from the hypnosis world, because hypnotists are, I find, as I've gotten into the world, they're really good at for lack of a better word, cutting away the shaft of something, getting to the very meat of something, peeling the skin off, undoing the onion. They're really good at doing that very rapidly. And they bore down on behavior changes in a behavioralistic sort of way. And it makes change happen very rapidly and very effectively. So yeah, it's a different, in traditional psychotherapy, it's not like that. It's much more, takes a lot more time. And not that it's bad, that's not bad. It just is a different, because some people are not ready to deal with their conflict. They have to be led to it. And not everybody can jump into the deep end of the pool on the second, third lesson. They have to put their toe in, they have to get ready for water, they have to think, so it's a different,
yes.
style.
Yes, that's definitely true. And some people need a bit more cognitive approach to it, so they understand some things, and then once they cognitively understand, and then they can process it internally. And you're right, that's why hypnosis is so powerful and so therapeutic, because it peels the onion, and it goes to the core of the problem. And once you fix the core of the problem, all the other problems don't exist. But sometimes with some people, you have to go through some of the problems to get to the core. Like, Jezai was talking about addressing components, because not everybody is like when me and you go into hypnosis, we just goes like, oh wow, I guess I could do that better. It's like, oh, I like that. It just dawned on me. Oh, I like that aspect. I guess I could do that. Like once you said take the garbage out, it's like, oh, I like that, you know. And it's not like take the literal garbage out, because taking literal garbage out every day, but it puts things in such perspective that it's so healthy and so beneficial.
I heard it's interesting you use that phrase because years and years and years ago, when I was first getting into learning a little bit about hypnosis, this was years ago. There was this guy named David Spiegel, and his father was Herbert Spiegel. And I think excuse me, David Spiegel's still alive. I think Herbert Spiegel died years ago, but this is way back when we would buy cartridges, cartridge tape. And they sold a set of hypnosis cartridge tapes. I listened to them. One of them was on weight loss. And Herbert Spiegel, I don't know why this stuck with me, but one of the things he said was, as you are eating, when you get full, you will think, does it go into this garbage can or does it go into the other garbage can? And I have never forgotten that suggestion. It has influenced me for years and continues to. Do I want to put it in this garbage can or do I want to put it in the other garbage can?
But it's very powerful, though. It's
very powerful.
It's a very powerful, and they also during the conference they presented some ideas of what they would. So sometimes, USPs, like how do you get people to quit smoking in one session, and some presented a really good metaphor. I'm not gonna say the metaphor here. And I thought that that was really good. So I'm gonna try it on with our smoking clients and see the ones that are ready to quit, not the ones that just want to take a pill and have things happen. The ones that are ready to quit. So metaphors are really, really good because we understand. We already have an understanding of what's happened and how that works, was the mechanism of that. And then we can take that knowledge and apply it to our behavior, thought, feelings, actions. So, yeah.
When I was doing regular psychotherapy, my teacher, one of my mentors, my person who helped me get my license way back in the day, she said something once. This is just interesting stuff, but I mean, she said that most of the therapy that happens in psychotherapy, it happens on the way to the office and on the way to the desk to check out. That's when you're going to get most of your therapy work done. And I was like, what? And when I got into it, she was exactly right, because the reason hypnosis doesn't work for a lot of people is because when they go into a therapy office, their critical mind, they get unconsciously defensive. So their critical mind is hyperactive, and it's just not going to take suggestions very well. And it's going to be on guard.
I have a few clients like that.
And they are just going to be on guard. And no matter, you can say, well, good to see you on this Wednesday morning. It's not good. And, some places it's not Wednesday. Some places it's Thursday morning, Carmen. It's not Wednesday everywhere, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So
20 problems to a solution. So it's hard with these clients, and they happen, and they, that's why they come to us, because they want to fix that. But with this kind of problem, you always find problems to every solution. It takes a longer time. It does.
It takes longer, and it's only because they're defensive, and their defenses are there for a reason. And so good therapists like yourself recognizes it, respects it, and gives it its due, because it's there for people. Don't act that way because they want to be argumentative. They're on guard, but they would leave a session. Their defenses would lessen, and I could walk them to the checkout area, and I could say, you've really made a lot of progress, and they would hear that then. Yes. They would say, well, thank you. If I sit in the office their critical mind is going to pop in and say, well, how does he know? He doesn't know that. I haven't made that much. I mean, it's the critical mind will come in. It's not the person, it's the critical thinking. So, yeah.
Yes, but over there, when they're ready to go, they're already detached from this and they're willing to listen. So people that are willing to listen are going to get good results. And you brought something really good today. I went to the store and I waited in line, and there was this, you insert your card and then you're supposed to sign. And then this young lady started yelling at this woman behind the counter, said that she wasn't supposed to work the credit card, that the other lady was supposed to work it and she should do it, and she's not doing her job and what she's doing there. And I looked at her, I was like, what's the matter with? She started yelling, and then the clerk, the counter clerk is like, being very calm and trying to help her. This woman, up until she left the store, keep on mumbling, and to some point, she started call her fatty. I mean, it's like you talk about high school. I mean, even earlier than high school. And I'm looking at it's like, is this woman having seizures or is she on drugs? She must be on drugs and very hyper over some withdrawal, or I don't know. But it was so mean, and she felt. I mean, she even looked at the whole line behind. It's like she was right. That the girl at the counter was so nice and so sweet and so patient, listening, being all thrown garbage at her like that. And I was like, geez, I don't want to be in her shoes. But I mean, these clerks, they're used to, I guess they get used to this kind of behavior and they get desensitized, because it's not about them, because they know that what they do is right. It's about that person that has a bad day, or who knows, maybe they're just coming off some drugs, or they have some drugs that they have a reaction to, or maybe they're having a seizure. And it's not, you see, lately, a lot of places you go to, especially the pandemic, is like they will not allow people to have a violent speech. Hate, there is no room for hate and disagreement. And if you engage in that kind of behavior, then we're going to take you out. So, yeah. And it's sad. It saddens me to see that in this country, so much hate has taken over. That's very sad, and to see that happens from the top down. It happens from the top down to have that amount of hate spread over. I mean, there's just, you create a consciousness of that, and people that are a little weaker or they have weak spots, they will just grab onto this, like, yeah, you're right. And I have issues and I have critics, with this person, let me hang on with you, then I can yell at other people. And then from that, you keep on saying other people like that person, criticizing and yelling and making false accusation. And you just go, oh, what has this country and gotten to? And still, we're much better than other countries. But we need to recognize that these people exist, and we gotta tread carefully with them.
Yeah, people wonder, well, can therapy help, or do I need therapy, or do I need hypnosis, hypnotherapy? And I read stories where people are killed over fast food orders. And that happens all the time, constantly. Not constantly. We read it in the media. There are, 200,000 transactions an hour probably, and maybe 3 or 4 of them going bad. But if a person is upset because they have to wait in line or they get the order wrong, or somebody if that goes on over and over and they're frustrated, then we live in a very prosperous place. And
country, yes.
Just a place of being. Yeah, country also. But I'm just thinking of state of mind. When we look at people that walk what 1,000 miles across South America with everything they own and on their backs to get to this country,
Yeah.
I mean, we lose perspective. And if things like that are bothers, and I include myself too, if I'm frustrated because, because there's something, if it's something, first, I have to remind myself, because it happens to me all the time. I'll drop something and I'll say, damn, man. I don't judge myself on it, but I keep things in perspective. 99% of us in this country have it better than so many other people in this world. And we lose that perspective sometimes. We think we're lacking when we have so much.
That's true. That's true. And I come from Eastern Europe, and in that consciousness, there's still a consciousness of I have no choice, which that's not true. We still have a choice, and we choose the best alternative. It's like you don't have a choice. You don't like the other choice. The other choice might be more detrimental, and it might ask you to work more, and it might not be as efficient. But we still have choices, and this country is full of choices. Sometimes we suffer from decision fatigue, and sometimes I don't want to keep on checking. That there's so many options to check and compare. It's like I'm tired of comparing. It's like I just want to get something that it will do what I wanted to do. But this is the country. That's why a lot of people immigrate here. And I just saw the other day on TV, they said that from Venezuela, only this year, 7 million people immigrated to US. 7 million. That's a small country in its own.
And these are not people that are flying over on a first class in a jet and want to buy a house on the beach. These are people that have nothing. And it's their last I should say it's their last hope, but I mean, to them, it's, the choice. So yeah, we are where there's that. We don't have drones dropping in on our heads and blowing up buildings downtown. So I don't mean to sound sanctimonious, but I'm saying that as much for myself as anyone is. We just forget we live in a very prosperous world. And I've been listening to some self-help hypnosis tapes about prosperity, and that just helps me keep on doing that, reminding myself that, yeah, I'm prosperous no matter what. I'm not making $10,000 an hour, but I'm prosperous.
Well, yeah, that's not what prosperity is, making a ton of money, because with making a ton of money, you also have a lot of responsibility. And some people don't necessarily value that. Some people want to come home and not think about making money, not think about the business. They just want to come home, relax, spend time with the significant other, with the kids, with the puppy dog, with the kitty cat, or whatever. Go for a swim, go for a walk, because those people that make a lot of money, they probably work 18 to 20 hours a day. And they're stressed. So for some, that's not general. I mean, there's all kinds of different scenarios. But making tons of money, it's not for everybody, because there's a saying in Romania that when you die, you don't take the money with you in a coffin. So what do we take with us in a coffin? Know thyself. That's what we take. Knowing ourselves and knowing ourselves better and better and better, and being good person, being of service to others, being a good person. What does it mean to be a good person? A lot of people don't even know what it means. They think they're a good person, but then they think badly about the other, or they say something to someone that hurts them. Well, sometimes it happens because, without intention. But yeah, being a good person, it means you do good things, you think good things, you say good things to the other, and help as much as possible. We can't always help with everything. We can't always give everything we have, and sometimes we are in a in a need of help. We can always be out there available. But yeah, a lot of people, they think they're a good person, but that they have hatred towards something. Well, good people don't have hatred towards things. Mm-mm.
Well, we started off talking about the hypnosis conference, and now we're talking about a prosperous state of mind. So we've
Prosperity.
gone.
I know, but that's what we do. That's what we do every Wednesday. So you never know what it's like. Life is a box of chocolate. You never know what you're gonna get. Our podcast, it's a box of chocolate. You're never gonna know what you're gonna get. So yeah. So this has been fun tonight. And we shall take a break and spend time with our significant others and kitty cats and puppy dogs, and go for a swim, go for a walk, watch a movie, and do whatever we want to do to relax and put our mind at ease. All right.
Sounds good.
All right. Good night. Sleep tight. Have good thoughts, good deeds, and be a good person.